Welcome to my channel, Truth Drama Stories. I did not realize the moment my life stopped being mine. It happened quietly, without warning, without sound, not with a scream, not with a fight, but with silence. The kind of silence that comes when someone erases you slowly, piece by piece, until even you begin to question if you were ever real. My name is Areeba. I was always the older sister, the responsible one. The one who stayed strong when everything fell apart. And my younger sister, Sana, she was the dreamer. She always said, one day, I will build something big. I believed her. I just never knew she would build it with my name. Our childhood was not easy. Our father died when I was 19. Sana was only 15. Overnight, the world became heavier. I remember standing in the hospital hallway. My hands were shaking. Sana was crying into my shoulder. She whispered, "Appa, what will we do now?" I did not have an answer. But I said, I am here. I will fix everything. And I meant it. I left university that same month. I took the first job I could find. It was a small office job. Long hours. Low pay. But it paid enough to keep the lights on. Enough to keep Sana in school. Every morning I woke up before sunrise. I cooked breakfast. I ironed her uniform. I packed her lunch. She would walk into the kitchen, sleepy and quiet. "Did you sleep?" she would ask. I always lied. Yes. But the truth was, sleep had become a stranger. Bills never stopped. Rent never waited. Life never slowed down. And I never complained. Because Sana was smiling again. That smile made everything worth it. Years passed. Slowly, things became stable. Sana finished school. Then college. I still remember her graduation day. She ran toward me in her black gown. Her eyes were shining. She hugged me tightly and said, "I did it because of you." I smiled. But inside, I felt something else. Exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion. Something deeper. The kind that settles into your bones. Still, I pushed it away. Because this was what love looked like. Sacrifice. After graduation, Sana changed. At first, it was small things. She stayed up late on her laptop. She answered phone calls in a quiet voice. She smiled at her screen more often. I noticed. But I did not question her. One night, I walked past her room. Her door was slightly open. I heard her say, "Yes, everything is under control." She paused. Then she laughed softly. "Don't worry. She has no idea." I stopped walking. My heart skipped. For a moment, I thought she was talking about someone else. I stepped away quietly. I told myself I was overthinking. Sana was my sister. She would never hurt me, right? Weeks turned into months. She became busier. She dressed differently. More confident. More distant. Sometimes she left early. Sometimes she came home late. When I asked, she smiled. "I am working on something," she said. I nodded. I trusted her. I always trusted her. Meanwhile, my life stayed the same. Wake up. Work. Come home. Sleep. Repeat. The office drained me. My boss never appreciated me. My body felt heavier each day. One evening, I came home and sat on the couch. I did not even turn on the lights. The darkness felt honest. Sana walked in an hour later. She looked excited. She dropped her bag and said, "Appa, things are changing." I looked at her. "What do you mean?" She smiled wider. "You will see." Then she walked away. I sat there, confused, but also hopeful. Maybe things were finally getting better. Maybe our struggles were ending. I had no idea how wrong I was. Days later, something strange happened. I came home early because I felt sick. The house was empty. I went to the kitchen to drink water. That was when I saw the envelope. It was lying on the table. White. Official. Clean. My name was printed on it. Areeba. I frowned. I picked it up slowly. My hands felt cold. I did not remember expecting any mail. I turned it over. It was already opened. That was strange. I never opened it. I pulled the paper out carefully. My eyes scanned the page. At first, nothing made sense. Then I saw it. Business registration. Owner name, Areeba Khan. My breath stopped. I read it again. Owner name, Areeba Khan. My name, my identity, my signature. But I never signed anything. I never started any business. I never agreed to this. My fingers started shaking. I checked the date. It was recent. Very recent. I sat down slowly. My mind was racing. There had to be a mistake. There had to be an explanation. Sana knew about business things. Maybe she was helping someone. Maybe she used my name by accident. Yes, it had to be an accident. I held the paper tightly. My chest felt heavy. I waited for her to come home. Hours passed. The clock ticked louder with each second. When the door finally opened, I stood up immediately. She walked in, calm and relaxed. She smiled when she saw me. Appa, you are home early. I did not smile back. I held up the paper. Her smile froze. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The silence felt sharp. What is this? I asked quietly. She stared at the paper. Then she looked at me. Her eyes were unreadable. It's nothing, she said. Nothing. That word echoed inside me. Nothing? My voice trembled. It has my name. She walked closer. It's just paperwork. Just paperwork. My heart started beating faster. Why is my name on it? I asked. She hesitated. Only for a second. But I saw it. That hesitation. That crack. She looked away. I was going to tell you. Going to tell me. Not told me. Not asked me. Not respected me. My hands felt numb. When? I whispered. She did not answer. She just stood there. Quiet. Calm. Distant. Like I was a stranger. In that moment, something shifted inside me. Not loudly. Not violently. But deeply. I felt something break. Not my trust. Not yet. Something else. Something older. Something fragile. My sense of safety. My sense of ownership over my own life. I looked at her. This was the girl I raised. The girl I protected. The girl I loved more than myself. And suddenly, I did not recognize her. She reached for the paper. Give it to me, she said softly. I stepped back. No. The word surprised even me. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Appa. Her voice changed. It was no longer soft. It was controlled. Careful. Like she was managing a situation. Not comforting her sister. I swallowed hard. What did you do? I asked. She did not answer immediately. And in that pause, I realized something terrifying. This was not an accident. This was not a mistake. This was something planned. Something built quietly. While I was working. While I was sacrificing. While I was trusting her. I felt cold. Very cold. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own sister. She stood in front of me. Calm. Silent. Watching my face. I was still holding the paper. My fingers felt stiff. Like they did not belong to me. Appa, she said gently, you are overreacting. Overreacting. That word hurt more than I expected. I laughed softly. But there was no humor in it. My name is on this, I said. My signature is here. She crossed her arms. I handled everything. Handled everything. Not explained. Not apologized. Handled. I stared at her. My chest was tight. You used my identity. She did not deny it. Instead, she said something worse. It was necessary. Necessary. The room felt smaller. I could hear my own breathing. Necessary for what? I asked. She walked past me and placed her bag on the table. For the business. The business. She said it like it belonged to her. But the paper said it belonged to me. Or at least, my name did. My voice became weaker. What business? She turned toward me again. Her face was confident. Proud. My company. My company. Not our company. Not your company. My company. I waited for her to explain. She did not. She simply stood there. Like this was normal. Like this was acceptable. Like I should be proud. Instead, I felt something heavy sink inside my stomach. When were you going to tell me? I asked. She sighed. I told you. I was going to. When? She stayed quiet. That silence answered everything. She never planned to tell me. Not really. I sat down slowly. My legs felt weak. My mind was trying to connect memories. Late nights. Secret calls. Quiet laughter. She has no idea. Her voice echoed in my head. I looked up at her. How long? She hesitated. Then she said, almost a year. A year. 365 days. While I was waking up early. While I was working late. While I was paying rent. She was building something. With my name. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. I felt dizzy. A year, I repeated. She nodded. It takes time to build something real. Something real. I looked at her carefully. And you needed my name? She avoided my eyes. Yes. My heart dropped. Why? She hesitated again. Then she spoke. Because your record is clean. My record. Clean. Responsible. Reliable. All the things I spent years protecting. She continued. Banks trust you. Trust you. Not trust me. Trust you. Each word felt like a knife. You used my trust, I whispered. She frowned. I used an opportunity. Opportunity. I felt something twist inside my chest. I am your sister, I said. She replied calmly, and I am trying to build our future. Our future. But she never said our business. She never said our decision. Only her actions spoke. And her actions had erased me. I looked at the paper again. My signature stared back at me. But it was not mine. It was an imitation. A copy. A lie. How did you sign this? I asked quietly. She shrugged. I practiced. Practiced. The word echoed. Practiced my signature. Practiced becoming me. My hands began to shake again. I remembered something. Months ago, she asked me to sign a blank paper. She said it was for a courier delivery. I signed it without thinking. Without questioning. Without doubting her. Now I understood. It was never for a delivery. It was for this. For everything. I felt sick. You lied to me, I said. She looked annoyed now. I did what I had to do. No guilt. No regret. Only justification. That hurt more than anger ever could. I stood up slowly. What else? I asked. She looked confused. What? What else did you use? She stayed quiet. My voice became stronger. What else is in my name? Her silence lasted too long. My heart began to race. What else? Sana. She looked away. That's all. I did not believe her. Not anymore. Trust had cracks now. Deep cracks. I walked past her and went to my room. I closed the door behind me. My hands were still shaking. I sat on my bed. The paper was still in my hand. I stared at it for a long time. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. My thoughts were loud. Questions filled my mind. What if there were loans? What if there were debts? What if there were risks? Everything was connected to me. My name. My identity. My responsibility. But not my choice. I felt something inside me collapse. Not loudly. Quietly. Like a building falling in slow motion. I remembered all the years. All the sacrifices. All the love. And suddenly, it felt one-sided. I had given everything. She had taken everything. And she never even asked. I stood up and walked to my desk. I opened my drawer. Inside were old documents. My ID copies. My certificates. My bank papers. Everything felt vulnerable now. Nothing felt safe. I checked each paper carefully. Nothing looked missing. But nothing felt secure anymore. A small fear had entered my life. And it was growing. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Every sound felt louder. Every memory felt different. I remembered her as a child. Holding my hand. Trusting me. Needing me. When did that change? When did I become useful instead of loved? I turned my head toward the wall. Tears filled my eyes. But I did not cry. Not yet. Because crying meant accepting it. And I was not ready. Morning came slowly. The sunlight felt cold. I went to the kitchen. She was already there. Drinking tea. Calm. Peaceful. Like nothing had happened. She looked at me and smiled. Good morning. I did not reply. I opened the cabinet and took a glass. My hands were steady now. Too steady. That scared me more. She watched me carefully. "Appa, trust me," she said. "Trust me." Those words felt empty. I turned and looked at her. "I trusted you," I said. She did not respond. Because there was nothing left to say. Something had changed between us. Something invisible. Something permanent. We were still sisters. But we were no longer the same. And deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The days after that conversation felt unreal. We lived in the same house. We walked past each other. We sat at the same table. But something invisible stood between us. A wall. Cold. Silent. Permanent. She acted normal. That was the hardest part. She still made tea in the morning. She still asked simple questions. "Are you going to work? Do you need anything?" Her voice was calm. Too calm. Like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. Inside me, something was awake now. Something careful. Something alert. I stopped speaking more than necessary. I stopped asking questions. I started watching. Observing. Listening. Because I needed to understand how deep this went. One evening, she left her laptop on the table. She went to answer a phone call in the other room. I was not trying to spy. At least, that is what I told myself. But my eyes moved toward the screen. It was open. Unlocked. Waiting. My heart started beating faster. I stood there, frozen. I could walk away. Pretend I saw nothing. Stay safe in ignorance. But ignorance had already cost me too much. Slowly, I stepped closer. The screen showed emails. Dozens of them. All under a company name. SK Solutions. I stared at it. SK. Sana Khan. Not Areeba Khan. Not me. Her. My chest tightened. I clicked one email. It opened instantly. "Dear Ms. Areeba Khan, we are pleased to confirm your approval." Approval? Approval for what? My eyes scanned faster. Loan approval. Loan amount. 2,500,000 rupees. My breath stopped. Loan. In my name. My hands became cold. I opened another email. Payment schedule attached. Another one. "Congratulations on your business growth." Growth. Growth built on my identity. My vision blurred. I grabbed the edge of the table to steady myself. This was real. This was happening. She had taken loans. She had built contracts. She had created an entire business. Using my name. Without telling me. Without asking me. Without protecting me. I felt something crack inside my chest. Not loudly. But deeply. I heard her footsteps coming back. I quickly stepped away. My heart was racing. She walked into the room and looked at me. Her eyes flicked toward the laptop. Then back to me. She knew. She knew I had seen it. Neither of us spoke. The silence was heavy. Dangerous. She walked slowly toward the laptop and closed it. "I was going to explain everything," she said quietly. Her voice sounded different now. Less confident. Less certain. I looked at her. "When?" I asked. She did not answer. Because there was no answer. Only excuses. I nodded slowly. Then I walked away. Not angry. Not shouting. Just quiet. That scared her more. I could see it in her eyes. That night, I sat alone in my room. The darkness surrounded me. But this time, I was not afraid. I was thinking. Carefully. Clearly. For the first time in years, I was not reacting. I was preparing. I opened my closet. On the top shelf was an old file. A blue binder. I had not touched it in years. I took it down slowly. Dust covered the surface. I wiped it clean. Inside were my original documents. My birth certificate. My ID copies. My signatures. My academic records. Everything that proved who I was. Everything she had used. I stared at those papers for a long time. This binder was my truth. My proof. My protection. Or at least it could be. A new feeling entered my chest. Not fear. Not sadness. Something else. Control. For years, I had lived for survival. For sacrifice. For her. But now, I needed to live for myself. I sat at my desk. I took a blank notebook. I wrote the date. Then I wrote one sentence. What did she do in my name? I underlined it. My hand was steady. Stronger than before. I started listing everything I knew. Business registration. Loan approval. Company name. Email evidence. Each word felt heavy. Each word felt real. This was no longer confusion. This was documentation. This was clarity. Outside my door, I heard her moving. Living. Breathing. Unaware of what was changing inside me. Or maybe she was aware. Maybe she was waiting. Watching. Just like I was. Days passed. I continued collecting small pieces. Bank messages. Official letters. Email notifications. Everything connected to my name. Everything connected to her actions. I did not confront her again. Not yet. Because confrontation without preparation is weakness. And I was done being weak. One afternoon, I came home and saw her sitting on the couch. She looked tired. For the first time, she did not look confident. She looked human. Fragile. She looked at me. "Appa," she said softly. I stopped. She hesitated. Then she said, "You know I did this for us." For us. That word again. I looked at her carefully. For us, I repeated. She nodded. Yes. I waited. She said nothing else. No apology. No regret. Only justification. I realized something in that moment. She did not see herself as wrong. She saw herself as smart. Strategic. Successful. And she saw me as necessary. But not equal. Not respected. Necessary. That realization hurt more than anything else. But it also gave me clarity. Because clarity removes illusion. And illusion had protected her. Not anymore. That night, I added another paper to my binder. Loan approval copy. I placed it carefully inside. Then I closed the binder. My hands rested on top of it. I felt calm. Not because everything was okay, but because I was no longer blind. The fear was still there. The betrayal was still there. But now, something else was growing. Something stronger. Something quieter. Something patient. For the first time since I found that envelope, I was not just her victim. I was becoming my own witness. The binder became part of my daily life. I hid it carefully, not because I was ashamed, but because I was protecting myself. Every new letter, every message, every document, I added it inside. Each paper was a piece of truth. Each paper was a piece of me. And slowly, the chaos inside my chest began to settle. Not disappear, but settle. Because now I understood the situation clearly. She had built something real. But she had built it on something stolen. My name, my identity, my safety. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet. Her room door was open. She was not there. Her phone was lying on the bed. It started vibrating. My heart skipped. I was not trying to invade her privacy. But then I saw the screen. A message notification. Payment overdue. Urgent. My stomach tightened. Payment overdue. I stepped closer. Another message appeared. Legal notice will be issued if ignored. Legal notice. My hands felt cold. This was no longer just business. This was risk. Danger. Consequences. And those consequences carried my name. Not hers. Mine. I stepped back slowly. My breathing became heavier. This was the moment. The moment I had feared. The moment everything became real. She was not just using my name. She was risking my future. My record. My life. I walked to my room. I opened the binder. My hands moved with purpose. I flipped through every page. Business registration. Loan approval. Payment schedules. Every document stared back at me. This was evidence. This was protection. This was power. I closed the binder slowly. For years, I believed love meant sacrifice. Silence. Endurance. But love without respect is not love. It is permission. Permission to be erased. And I was done giving that permission. That night, I waited for her. I sat on the couch. The binder was beside me. Visible. Present. Real. Hours passed. When she finally walked in, she froze. Her eyes moved to the binder. Then to me. She understood immediately. "What is this?" she asked quietly. I looked at her calmly. "This is my life." She stayed silent. For once, she did not look confident. She looked uncertain. Small. Fragile. Like the younger sister I once knew. I opened the binder. I showed her the pages. One by one. Her face changed. The confidence disappeared. The control disappeared. Only truth remained. "You took loans," I said. She said nothing. "You signed my name." Silence. "You risked everything." Her eyes filled with fear. Not guilt. Fear. Because now, she realized something. I was no longer blind. I was no longer weak. I was no longer silent. "Appa," she whispered. Her voice broke. For the first time, she sounded unsure. "I was going to fix it. Going to fix it. Always going to. Never did." I looked at her carefully. "No," I said softly. "I will fix it." Those words changed everything. She stared at me. Confused. Afraid. Because she understood now. She was no longer in control. I stood up slowly. My legs felt steady. My voice felt steady. "My name belongs to me," I said. She said nothing. Because there was nothing left to say. In that moment, I saw the truth clearly. She did not steal my identity in one day. She stole it slowly. Through my trust. Through my love. Through my silence. But she forgot one thing. I was still here. Still alive. Still capable of reclaiming myself. The next morning, I woke up early. But this time, it felt different. Not heavy. Not exhausting. Clear. I dressed carefully. I picked up the binder. I held it firmly. This was not just paper. This was my voice. My proof. My strength. She stood in the hallway. Watching me. Silent. Afraid. "Appa," she said softly. I stopped. But I did not turn around. For years, I had stopped everything for her. Today, I did not. I walked forward. Step by step. Toward my future. Toward my truth. Toward myself. Because sometimes, the deepest betrayal does not come from strangers. It comes from the people you trusted with your life. The people you loved without limits. The people who knew exactly how to replace you. But betrayal does not define you. Your response does. And my response was simple. I chose myself. For the first time. Not as a sister. Not as a sacrifice. But as a person. As Areeba Khan. The owner of my name. The owner of my story. The owner of my life. Thank you for listening to Truth Drama Stories. If this story touched your heart, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because some truths are painful. But telling them is the first step toward freedom. And some identities are stolen. But they can always be reclaimed. This is Truth Drama Stories. And every truth deserves to be heard.